So, you've gone and bought your first miniature. It's on the sprue, and you want to know how to take it from the sprue down to the tabletop. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you what you're going to need to take it from that step to the final article. Right guys, so I'm going to show you all you're going to need to take your new miniature from the sprue, cutting it out, preparing it, stuff along those lines to getting paint on it and getting it finished, ready for the tabletop. So your first step is to clip the miniature from the sprue. If you're lucky enough that your miniature doesn't actually have a sprue, most of the time the metal ones, they usually just come off the sprue itself. So, you know, it makes it easier with those. But when it comes to the plastic ones where you need to cut off a sprue, you need a pair of pliers. Well, you need like flat edge cutters. I'm too cheap to go out and buy a set, so I use a pair of, you know, wire cutters. They've got a flat edge on the one side. I try and get it close to the miniature as I can, and then the rest I take off with a blade and slowly file it down. Next tool, going to be a nice sharp blade. Most people use an X-Acto knife. I like to use this. It's the, you know, the cheapest thing I had. I already had it in the house before I even started modelling, so this really helped. And then you're going to want to get off the flash lines and stuff like that. So a file. They're cheap enough. You can get a couple for, you know, £1 from pound shops, you know, anything like that. You don't need to go out and buy any expensive ones. All this is just going to be is to take off any spare pieces hanging on your model. Your next step, you're going to glue it. So you can now use several different things. Plastic glue and super glue are the two main ones that everyone goes for. I use super glue. Super glue is, it can be finicky, it can be fragile, but dries quicker and it's cheaper. It's especially cheaper. So that's the step, and you'll be left with, say, a model that's going to look like that. It's going to be, you know, freshly cut. It's all going to have all of the flash removed. Everything's done. It's all prepared. So your next step is you're going to wash the model off. You're going to wash it in hot water with a bit of soap. Make sure you get all that releasing agent, which they use to take it out of the mold. So now that you've got everything prepared, your next step is that you're going to need to paint it. So first off, you're going to pick, well, you're going to go with priming it. There's several, you know, there's a couple of different styles of priming. You've got spray primers or rattle cans. These are good, but I personally like to use a surface primer. This can be used for an airbrush, or it can be brushed on. Really doesn't matter, it's up to you. You just want to get a good coat. It doesn't have to be super thick, but you want it so it kind of covers everywhere. So you've got it primed, and your next step is going to be to apply the paint itself. Now, paint comes from many different manufacturers. The three that I have here, you have Vallejo, really good model, you know, real good model paints. Army Painter, or War Paints as this says on it, it's from the Zombicide set. That's a good paint as well, especially the metallic. And you've got the one that everyone seems to know, it's Citadel. Citadels, again, good pieces. Now, before I go on to anything else, I forgot to mention, you're going to need some brushes. Best to get an array of brushes. What I have here are synthetic, natural, yeah, and then we have one that's just battered to shite, that's used for a dry brush. And your dry brush is not going to last long, that's why you want it something that's just battered and old. There's a lot of thing about whether you should use synthetic or you should use real hair, natural hairs. I think it also depends on your budget as well. I quite like the synthetics at the moment because they are cheaper for me to get and they hold their shape quite well. They do start to go after time, but they seem to be holding up quite well with these anyway. The natural hairs can be made of an array of different hair, you know, pieces. You can get hog hair, more stiffer than this one, sable. Sable's quite nice. you know, and the natural hair is able to keep up liquid, you know, sucks up more liquid than the synthetics. So it's really depending on what you like from a paintbrush. If you're first starting out, I'd go for cheaper brushes. Try the cheaper brushes, see if you know you like how they are used between the synthetic and the natural, and then go from there. Make your choice from there. So we've done brushes, we've done paints. Your next is going to be a shade. Now, again, a load of companies make shades. Again, Citadel, brilliant set of shades. Come in all range of colours, black, browns, going up to blues, reds, flesh shades. They're really good, nice to use, and you know they add an extra depth to your model. You know, they go into all the recesses and added a shade area, and then you know they make you, you know, put a lot better of a painter than you would be naturally. So I'm a standard painter, but putting that wash in, then add in that highlight on top, takes me from bog standard to a little bit higher, and it makes the piece look a lot better. So now you've done all that, you're going to go through the steps of being a base paint to a wash to shade those areas. Then you're going to take a shade higher, you know, a color lighter than your original one, just the same color but a little bit lighter, and then you're going to highlight off over that. So now that you've finished the model, you're now thinking, what do I do now to take it to the next step? Well, first you're going to varnish it. You're going to want to hit it with a matte varnish. Well, for me anyway, matte varnish. Gloss, I don't like the way gloss looks. Matte makes it look real nice and it makes it look realistic. Your next step to that will be is to do your base. Your base can have several ways to do it, you know, several things on there, depending on how you want your army to look like it's standing on. So if you want your army to look like it's in a wasteland, so I've got ones where it looks like it's on wasteland, but with a bit of grass growing and stuff like that. It's easy enough, it's just using gravel. And it's the same process with the paints. A lot of manufacturers make the same things. You can get things cheap, even free, for the terrain, you know, for basing materials. You can use all everyday items. So it can range from sand, which is pretty simple. You just get sand and you can bake it, make it really dry, sieve it out, get all that nice fine stuff out. Cat litter. Cat litter is good. The downside of cat litter is once you put a liquid on top of it, it starts to mush down. So if you're using cat litter because you want a stony effect, it doesn't work as much. Some of the bigger clumps will stay, but you know, you catch the drift. It doesn't stick to how you want it. So you got to put that into consideration. You can use other small things, so pebbles, real tiny rocks, stuff like that. It really does help. And then that will be your pure base. Then you're going to go to other stuff. So slate's a good one. Slate's really cheap. When you think of it, you can go out and you can buy slate from manufacturers and they put it in a little tub and they charge you a couple of quid for it. It's nice. It's already made for you. Or you can spend a little time and you can buy a big slate from eBay, about a quid, even for a tester little sheet for a quid. You know, you're going to smash it up. You're going to get the same content as you would get for that pound as you would get for a couple of quid from an actual hobbyist shop. So, you know, these materials can be really, really cheap. Then you're going to use that as your bigger stones and stuff like that build on. Slate has a nice feel to it as well, so you can get a good look on there. Then you've got your next step of going to static grasses and stuff like that. Make things pop up out of the miniature itself. I mean, you don't want to go over the top with your base, because your base is there not to draw your eye to the base itself, but your base is there to frame your mini, is the only way to put it. Once you frame that mini, the mini looks so much better. A mini on a black base, it looks okay, but it's not right. Once you put that, you know, that bit of terrain kind of thing on the base, it adds a whole different level to your mini. So there you go. There's your basic stuff that you're going to need to take that, like as I said, like a little lump of plastic or metal, and take it up to this finished article that you will be pleased with the end result. And I hope that helped. If it did, please comment below with anything else you think I can help you with. I may have another video in the library somewhere, or you know, it might be an idea for the next video. And if this is enjoyed and it has really come useful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I shall see you in the next video.